What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel Reef RX. Today I'm going to talk about how to grow a brine shrimp culture indoors. So I've had this culture now for a couple of months, maybe not a couple, maybe a month and a half I'd say. I wasn't going to continue with the brine shrimp, I was going to put pods here, so I scooped out most of my brine shrimp and then they started reproducing, so I kind of just left it. It's very low maintenance, so I think I'm going to keep this culture around. But I had a lot of trouble when I first started getting this culture off the ground, so I'm going to teach you how to do this. So let's get started. So if we take a look here, there's not a whole lot of brine shrimp in here, like I said, because I took some of them out and fed them to my fish, and then like I said, they started to reproduce. So you can see some of them are mating or whatever you want to call it. The females have a little circle at the end of their tails, where the male just has a straight tail. It's like these two here, you know, they're on top of each other doing their thing. So to start off this culture, you want to get some sort of container. So it doesn't need to be a fish tank. You can use like a Rubbermaid container. You just need something that holds water. So to start, I mixed some salt with RODI water to a specific gravity of 1.045. So the higher the salt level, the less bacteria you're going to have in the tank that'll be competing for the oxygen. They like higher oxygen levels, they like higher alkalinity. So I got the salt mixed up, put it in my container or my tank, and heat up the temperature to about 80 degrees. So I have this tank is located near a drafty window, so that's why I have a heater in it. I know many people that don't have a heater are very successful, so you don't have to have a heater, but it works for me, so I'm not going to change it. Most people put the tank in front of their window or even outside, but again, this video is on how to do an indoor culture, so I don't have a window that's sustainable with that much light, so I have two cheap clip-on lights like that. One is a grow light and one is like a refugium light, like full spectrum. Probably don't need the full spectrum light, but again, it works for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they run the lights for 12 hours a day, and then I have an air pump to generate air bubbles, as you can see on either side of the tank. I have two lines in there. I only had one line to start, but the only reason why I put the second line in was because I pulled it out of my pod culture tank and didn't feel like disconnecting it, so I just literally stuck it in this tank. So once you have your water set up, you're gonna need to hatch up some brine shrimp. So if you get this little hatchery from BRS right here, this thing works great. I bought that from BRS, and then you can buy some BRS brine shrimp eggs. A little container like this works really well. Hatch up some brine shrimp, and once they have hatched, you're going to want to throw them into your container or your tank or whatever you created for it. And then I feed if it's a brand new culture that you're just starting off with clean water, you got to feed it heavy with phytoplankton. That was my issue before. I wasn't feeding enough. The spirulina powder was too much, but the phytoplankton, a good healthy culture with phytoplankton. So feed it heavy with phytoplankton. You're probably going to want to have your own phytoplankton culture. If you don't, you'll probably want to start one. They're super easy to culture. I'll probably post a video start to finish on how to do that in the near future as well. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. So feed it heavy with phytoplankton. You want the tank dirty. You don't want the tank like looking brand new, like it's clean. So get the tank dirty. The shrimp, after 24 hours, the baby brines will form a mouth, and then they'll start eating, and they'll eat the phytoplankton. Sometimes I'll feed a little bit of spirulina powder, maybe once a week, if that, but for the most part, I just give them the phyto. And then, yeah, they just grow. So they'll grow to adulthoods in a couple of weeks. So when I had this culture going, they grew, but they weren't reproducing. And then, so like I said, I was going to stop the culture, so I fed a lot of them to my fish, and then kind of left what was there. I went away for work, and I came back, and like they're all reproducing now. So there's a lot of little baby brines. So the little speckles in here that you can't really see from the camera, those are all baby brines that were freshly hatched from, you know, reproducing here. So I only did one batch from my hatchery to get this culture going. So make sure your tank is dirty, make sure the water is, like I said, you have a higher salt level, and then you'll want to top this off with RODI water as the water evaporates. So if you're having the same problem I had with it, you have a ton of brine shrimp, but they're just not reproducing, or they're not getting to that last stage of adulthood, take some out. You might have too much in there where they can't reproduce. Like I said, that was the issue I was having. So one more thing I forgot to add, guys, I don't do water changes on this tank. Sometimes I will siphon off some of this gunk at the bottom, like I did that today. There was a lot more, so sometimes I'll siphon a little bit of that out of there with like a, I use one of these 50 ml syringes here, and I just attach it to the airline tubing that's connected to this acrylic hose, so it's nice and straight, easy to use. And I'll siphon out like maybe five syringes worth. So these are 50 ml syringes. They probably pull back to 70 ml, so I wouldn't really consider that a water change. And that's pretty much it, guys. I think I've covered it all. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Maybe I forgot something, let me know, and I'll answer your questions. But best of luck on your culture, and we'll see you next time.